Last month, a friend of mine told me he'd finally gotten his subscriptions under control. He canceled the big stuff, the streaming service he never watched, the cloud storage he didn't really need. He felt good about it. He thought he'd solved it. He hadn't. He really hadn't. Because the one charge he kept, the tiny $9.99 one he barely even noticed, was quietly going to cost him more than every subscription he canceled put together. Not this month. Over the next 10 years. And honestly, when I drew that number out for him on a napkin, he went quiet. In a way I recognized. I'd been that guy. I once kept a $9.99 app for 4 years because canceling it felt like more effort than the $10. So look, this isn't me lecturing you from some mountaintop. This is me showing you the exact math that got me. One small charge, one big number hiding underneath it. So here's what I want to do today. I want to take one subscription, just one. The smallest, most harmless-looking $9.99 line on your whole statement. The one you'd swear isn't even worth talking about. And I want to draw it out, all the way across 10 years, then 20, so you can finally see the actual shape of it. I'm not here to tell you to cancel everything and live in a cave. Some of these things genuinely earn their keep, and I'll show you exactly how to tell which ones. I just want you to see the number almost nobody runs. Because once you've seen it, that little charge stops feeling so little. Let me draw it out for you. Let's start with why $9.99 feels like nothing. Because that part is not an accident. Somebody chose that number very carefully. $10 feels like a decision. $9.99 feels like a rounding error. It's less than a sandwich. It's less than parking. It slides past the part of your brain that asks, wait, do I actually want this? And lands in the part that says, it's basically free. And here's the thing. That gap between $10 and $9.99 is where the whole business lives. Now multiply that feeling by how many of these you've quietly collected. I added mine up a while back. A meditation app, a recipe app, and a language app that still thinks I live in 2021. None of them felt like money. Together, they were eating a real chunk of my month, and I couldn't have told you the total if you'd asked. Turns out that's the normal experience, not the exception. According to a 2024 study from C+R Research, when people are asked off the top of their head what they spend on subscriptions, the average guess is about $86 a month. Then, those same people sit down and itemize it, line by line. The real number? Around $219 a month. That's roughly 2.5 times what they thought. Translation: most of us are walking around with a number in our head that's wrong by about $130 every single month, and the wrong number is always the smaller one. So that's the feeling. Now let's talk about the machine underneath it, because this is the part nobody draws on the napkin. A subscription isn't really selling you a product. It's selling itself a default. Once you sign up, the company's best case isn't that you love the service and use it every day. Their best case is that you forget. A customer who forgets pays exactly the same as a customer who's thrilled, except the forgetful one costs nothing to keep happy. Silence becomes permission. Your inattention becomes their revenue. And the design follows that logic everywhere you look. Signing up takes about 8 seconds and 1 thumb. Canceling sends you on a little quest. You hunt for the account page. You find a Manage Plan button that isn't really the cancel button. You get the Are you sure? Here's 30% off screen. You get the Your benefits will be lost. Guilt trip. Look, I'm not saying every company is run by villains. Most of these aren't evil. They're just built so that the easiest thing you can do which is nothing, is also the most profitable thing for them. The friction isn't a bug. The friction is the product. You'd think there'd be a rule against making cancellation that hard. For a brief moment, there almost was. In October 2024, the Federal Trade Commission finalized something people started calling the click-to-cancel rule, the basic idea being that getting out of a subscription should be about as easy as getting in. Sounds reasonable, right? Here's where it surprised me. On July 8, 2025, a federal appeals court threw the whole rule out just days before it was supposed to take effect, on the grounds that the agency hadn't followed the right process to make it. So as of the day I'm recording this, there is no nationwide click-to-cancel protection. The rule that was meant to save you the runaround got the runaround itself. Now, that could change. They may write a new version. But right now, the only person guarding that cancel button is you. Okay, watch this. Because now we get to the number I promised you. Take one subscription. $9.99 a month. Let's run the actual numbers. Over a year, that's about $120. Doesn't sting yet. Over 10 years, that's about $1,200 you simply spent. Still feels survivable, sure. But $1,200 isn't the real cost. The real cost is what that same money could have become if it went somewhere else. So let me draw the other path. Say you took that same $120 a year, and instead of feeding one app, you dropped it into a plain index fund. I'm assuming roughly an 8% average annual return here, which is in the neighborhood of the long-run stock market average, and I'm flagging that out loud because nobody can promise you a number. Under that assumption, your boring little $9.99, invested instead of spent, grows to about $1,800 over 10 years. So the gap between spending it and investing it is around $600 for one app, the one you forgot you had. Now stretch the same drawing out to 20 years, because this is where it stops being cute. That same $9.99 a month, invested at that same rate, lands near $6,000. $6,000 from a charge you described, with a straight face, as basically free. And here's a number that surprised even me when I ran it. Stack up 7 of these little $9.99 lines, which is right around what a lot of people quietly carry. And over 20 years, you're looking at something in the neighborhood of $40,000. Not from one big mistake, from 7 tiny ones you never felt. That's the thing about a small recurring charge. It's a faucet, dripping in a room you never walk into. Each drop is nothing. You'd laugh if I asked you to care about a single drop. But the faucet doesn't run for a drop. It runs for years, in a room you've stopped checking, and the bill for all that water shows up quietly on a statement nobody reads. Now, I can already hear the objection, because I made it myself for years. But I actually use my subscriptions. This isn't waste. This is stuff I like. And that's fair. So let me be straight with you. If I only showed you the downside here, I'd be doing you dirty. The faucet math only stings when the water's running in a room you never use. The streaming service you watch 4 nights a week? That's not a leak. That's a faucet you turned on for a reason. The tool that helps you make money. The app you genuinely open and love. The gym you actually show up to. Keep those. Those earn their keep. And pretending otherwise is just a different kind of bad math. The problem isn't subscribing. The problem is subscribing, and then never looking again. There's a difference between a $9.99 charge you'd defend out loud and a $9.99 charge you couldn't even describe right now if I asked. One is a purchase. The other is a faucet you forgot about. So how do you tell them apart? Here's the better move, and it takes about 15 minutes. And no, this isn't financial advice. It's just the thing I wish someone had walked me through years ago. First, open the subscriptions list on your phone. Both app stores keep one, buried in settings. Most people have never opened it. You'll find at least one ghost in there. I'd put money on it. Second, scroll back through about 3 months of your bank and card statements and circle every charge that repeats. Not the obvious ones. The small, oddly named ones. The forensic part matters here because the leaks hide as $5 and $7 and $9.99, the amounts too small to trip your alarm. Third, for each one, ask a single honest question. When did I last use this on purpose? Not by accident. On purpose. If you can't answer, you've found a faucet. Turn it off. And here's the part that data backs up. In that same 2024 C+R survey, about 42% of people admitted they were paying for at least one service they'd already stopped using. Nearly half of us are funding rooms we've moved out of. Now look at the second category, the ones you do use. For those, the move isn't cancel. The move is just decide, on purpose, that the price is worth it. That's the whole game. Not 0 subscriptions, not 7 you can't name. Just the short list you'd actually defend. Because, and this is the opinion I'll plant my flag on, the cancel everything crowd is wrong too. I've watched people rage quit every service they own, feel righteous for a month, then slowly resubscribe to the exact same stuff because some of it was genuinely making their life better. That's not discipline. That's a different leak with a cleaner story. The goal was never 0. The goal was awareness. You want to be the person who knows exactly what's running and why. So here's where I'll leave you, and it's not a go cancel everything speech, because that's not the point. The real trap isn't the $9.99. The real trap is never once drawing it out, never running the number that turns basically free into $1,800, then $6,000, then a faucet you funded for a decade without looking. So the next time a $9.99 charge slides past and feels like nothing, do one small thing before you let it go. Draw it across 10 years first, then 20. Spend the 15 minutes this week, open that subscriptions list, and find the one charge you couldn't explain to me right now if I asked. Start there. That's the faucet. That's the one to look at first. And if your gut reaction is, fine, I'll cancel all of them, hold on, because that's a whole other video, and the answer might surprise you. For now, just go find your ghost subscription. Run the number on it. Because $9.99 doesn't feel like anything until you draw it out. And that's the only number that matters.